Welcome back for Chapter 9 of the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth board game. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll resume our previous save spot and continue. The ruined city of Annúminas lies before you. Once the High King of Arnor ruled the city, but it has lain abandoned for more than 1,000 years. Adoran seeks an artifact within its walls, something you must find before his minions do. Before you can begin your search, however, you will need to find a way into the city. Task you would not normally fear, but for Halberd's warnings of dead things lingering outside the ruin. Next adventures on the battle map. We won't make any changes here. Or here, we'll keep the same rolls. After crossing the Brandywine, you make your way to Annúminas. Your journey is fraught with near encounters with Adoran's orc scouts, and in avoiding them, you gain a better sense of the size of his host. Fortunately, the small size of your party means you can travel much more quickly than an army of orcs, and you should arrive at Annúminas in advance of the orcs. Placing the battle maps. You follow what remains of the great road to Annúminas' gates. The sun sets as you come within sight of the walls, and by the time you have reached the gates, securely shut with rusting iron, night is well advanced. You attempt to force open the gates, but they are as impenetrable as they must have been 1,000 years ago. Finding a way through the gates is a task, but suited to daylight hours, so you settle down to get what sleep you can. Place the following terrain. 4 walls. 2 bushes and a fire pit. 3 statues. 3 mists. As midnight approaches, a chill, unnatural fog rolls across the road. Gimli on watch sounds the alarm as inky shapes move through the fog. Slowly they resolve into countless rays, moving to and fro and congregating outside the city gates as if waiting to gain entrance. Clean up your campsite and prepare yourselves for what you do not know. Place heroes as indicated. Each hero shuffles 1 weakness into their deck, then scouts 3. First for Aragorn, he has slowed the Wanderer, which isn't going to help with this map, and Master Tactician. Start of your turn, each hero may discard 1 prepared skill. Each hero who does scouts 3. So we're just going to place Master Tactician on top of her deck, and these 2 on the bottom. And then for Gimli, he is arrogant, possibilities of time of need, and wit. We will prep time of need and place these 2 on the bottom of the deck. City's imposing iron gates still stand solid against intruders into the city. Ghostly guardsmen now line the walls. Place a threat token as indicated. Around the remains of a long doused campfire, you can spot the still shapes of skeletal bodies. Place a search token. A spry wraith woman lingers near the edge of the forest that now encroaches upon the ruin. Clad in rugged gear of hunter or pathfinder and holding a broken arrow, she reminds you of somewhat of Hanera and Halberad. The wind threatens to blow her away like so much dust. Place a person token. The wraith of a knight in ancient armor, somehow appearing at once, shining and tarnished, stands at attention. When he sees you, his hand moves to rest on the pommel of his sword. Of all the words you might think to apply to him, friendly is sure not one of them. Place a person token. To one side, at the center of the crowd of flickering figures, stands a stout wraith with a gold braid strung across his shoulders. "Hail, travelers," he calls, focusing on you now. You have the look of peoples from far places and well-traveled. A numinous walks a dark path, but I cannot turn from their evil destiny if they will not listen. Can you help me? Place a person token. These wraiths stand out from the others, appearing more substantial and lucid. You're not sure of their intentions, but it's clear you will not be sleeping again tonight. Perhaps they will know how to get through the gates, or another route into a numinous. Objectives up. Speak with the wraiths. So first off, we'll go with Aragorn. Using well provision, start of your turn, you may discard the skill for you and a nearby hero to scout to. So we knew Master Tactician was on top of the deck. We'll put that back down and we will prep Thorngill. And for Gimli, we will definitely prep Ready Defense and put Ancient Wisdom on the bottom of the deck. For Aragorn's first turn, we'll have him move over one space and speak with the Wraith. The orator falls just short of an actual grasping your arm as you near him. Pains me to see what you have come to anonymous at such a time, he says dramatically. Should see the star of Arnor, not in its darkest days, but its brightest. So our options are, why do you say these are dark days? You're right, the curse of Anumis must change, or step away. We'll ask about the dark days. The king, the orator bellows from the benefit of the crowd. The king has locked the gate to keep out those whose beliefs frighten him. But he has abandoned those who remain within the city's walls in a manner even more sinister. He has left them to the doom of man. Race must have dwelt on these grievances since the city was inhabited. Are they even capable of seeing the alternatives? Gain an inspiration. And that will be it for Aragorn. So Gimli will move to and interact with this token. The knight's fingers tighten around the hilt of his sword. He is clad in harder, more resplendent armor than the guards at the gate. Interact. Which king do you serve? The knight challenges, thumbing his sword just free of his scabbard. The High King of Arnor? Or I serve no king? Or what? I think Gimli would be a I serve no king type of speaker. No king, the knight scrutinizes you, and his grip on his sword does not loosen. Perhaps preferable to the wrong king, he concludes. So we reply with, who are you? How can we get into the city? Or why are all these people outside the city? Go with who are you? I'm a member of Arnor's finest order. I have seen battle against orc and goblin and man. His blade slew the mad troll of the Tower Hills. He pats the pommel of his sword proudly. But I have been ejected and branded as an oathbreaker because I fought alongside the Scion, who should have been on the throne, in his rebellion against the High King of Arnor. Gain an inspiration. Now step back, the knight says. I cannot be distracted now. So he has moved to and interacted, so that will be it for our actions. Into the shadow phase. Shadow deepens, the hope yet endures. Threat increases by 5. Rally phase. Here resets their deck and then scouts 2. So for Aragorn, he'll be able to scout 3 because of his ability. He is slowed once again. See, we have Wind Among Grass and Strider. I think we will prep Strider and put Wind Among Grass on top of our deck. And Gimli will look at 2. He's burdened in a kinship. So we'll prep kinship. So before a nearby hero test, you may discard the skill for that hero to reveal 2 additional cards. If they are a dwarf, you may scout 1, but Aragorn is not a dwarf. So we will have Aragorn interact again with the same token. The order continues to stir the crowd, listing names and dates that mean nothing to you, but must recall wrathful memories for the wraiths listening. So who are you? How can we get into the city? Tell me of the doom of man. Tell me of the Scion. Why are all these people outside the city? Well, let's go with the doom of man. The doom of man, the orator waits a beat to let the crowd boo and hiss. Doom of man is that, unlike the elves, he must die. Our ancestors in Numenor also disagreed on this matter. Many of them traveled farther east because they did not accept the doom of man. Those who settled here, and in Gondor to the south, called it the gift of man instead. But what gift is death? That our lives are short, and so often cut from us without warning. Lore increases by 1. And he will interact again, asking how to get in the city. There is no way yet, but give that time, the orator grins. The Scion will see us through. Each night he leads us in battle against the guards who serve the High King, and I have a good feeling about this night. Do not we all? He shouts, and the crowd of the wraiths send up a cheer. You or a nearby hero may scout 1. So Aragorn, put that back on top of his deck, and continue. And then we will have Gimli move over 2 and check on this threat token. As you approach the imposing iron gate, the guards before it cross their halberds in front of you. The gate is shut by order of the King of Arnor, one says. Though only ghosts, you should not underestimate the power of the dead in such a place as this. Provoking them could be dangerous. Why is the gate shut? Storm the gate or look for another way. We will ask a question. These are dark days, traveler. Arnor is fractured and blood calls for blood. The guard surveys the wraiths, who slide in and out of visibility among the fog. A scowl on his face. Rebels against the High King are gathering to try to breach the gate. They follow a villain they call the Scion, but he is just a pretender to the throne. You'll want to make yourself scarce if you do not wish to be caught in the middle. Gain an inspiration. Move along now, the guard says. We've got a gate to watch and lots of troublemakers about. So that will end our action phase. To the shadow phase. Threat increases by 5. Scouting party of Adoran's orcs approaches the glow of your campfire with weapons ready. Expecting to take you by surprise, the sight of so many wraiths gives them momentary pause, fouling their plan for an ambush. Place 1 orc marauder at the indicated space. Place a goblin scout in the indicated space. Place a ruffian. And 2 more goblin scouts. Rally phase. Tyr resets their deck and scouts 2. So for Aragorn, looking at 3 cards, slowed once again, and 2 leads the charge. So we will prep 1 and put the other on top, and slowed on the bottom of our deck. And Gimli, looking at 2, we've got help for our wit and our wisdom. We will prep the wit and put wisdom on the bottom of our deck. So for our first action, we'll have Aragorn move and start a fight with an orc marauder. take a look at his stats here. No bonuses, just 2 armor and 5 health. So he will go through with a attack, looking 3 cards for might. 1 success. And we will spin an inspiration for a second. And with his sword, that will be 5 hits. And to end off this orc, we'll go ahead and spin this strike 3 to get 3 more hits. So a total of 8 hits. So we'll remove the Orc Marauder and gain an inspiration. So he has moved and attacked. So now we will go on to Gimli. He will move over and try to take out these 2 scouts. Let's see what they look like. 1 armor each with 3 health each. And looking at my cards to see I have 5 cards prepped. I can only have 4. The wit will go away. And we will look at 4 cards in this fight. We have 2 successes. So with his axe, that'll be 6 hits. Confirm. Remove 1 of the scouts. Enemy will attack back. Goblin's dagger slices through the air. Agility negates. So our agility is 1. We get nothing. We will spin an inspiration for 1 success. And since we have ready defense prepped, when you test a negate, damage, or fear, we add a success. So we get 2 successes and we'll take no damage. So that was a move and attack, so that will end our action phase into the shadow phase. So our ruffian is going to attack Gimli. Man unsheathes a huge sword and attacks. Might will negate. That will be 4 for Gimli. He has 1 success. And with his ready defense, that will give him another success. So 1 will break through. And we will take that as a damage. So now he's got a fever. Discard 1 inspiration, which we don't have, and then flip this card face down. And then our scout is going to attack Aragorn. Goblin lunges at you, shrieking with rage. Might negates. So possible 2 damage. We have 1 success, and we will spin an inspiration to block both of those. Threat increases by 5. Shriek tears the veil of the dark, a howling wail that can't come from any living throat. The scion is coming. The fear of it settles around you, driving the dim light of the moon and stars away. All spaces are in darkness. Murmur passes through the race around you. The scion approaches. Their voices are reverential. You remain surrounded by race, but perhaps if you can befriend them, they can help you survive whatever is coming. But can you really trust them? Objective updated. Befriend or banish the race before Scion arrives. Into the rally phase. Each hero resets their deck and scouts 2. Aragorn will shuffle his deck and look at 3 cards. Let's see here. We will prep well provisioned. Put Strider on top of her deck and the Wanderer on the bottom. And for Gimli, he will look at 2 cards. He has Restless Axe and Clever Wit. We will put Clever Wit on the bottom. We will prep Restless Axe, removing Kinship. And for our action phase, we'll have Aragorn go first, using Well Provisioned. That worked well for us. We'll put Strider back on top and Slowed on the bottom of our deck. And then we will have Aragorn attack. Take a look at this Goblin Scout. Just 1 armor and 3 health. So he will look at 3 cards, getting 2 successes, which will be 5 hits and enough to take down this scout. Confirming our hits, and remove the Goblin Scout and gain an inspiration. And for his second move or action, he'll run over here, be ready to try to make friends next turn. And then for Gimli, he's going to use his Restless Axe to get a free attack that's going to have an additional 2 hits. He will go after the Marauder, I think. Yep, we'll go after, I'm sorry, the Ruffian. So looking at our top 4 cards. Arrogant once again. We have 2 successes, which will be 6 hits, be all we need. And then we will put Restless Axe back on top of our deck. And the extra 2 for the previous card we played, just more overkill. The Ruffian goes down and we gain an inspiration. And now for his first real action, he'll attack this Scout. So another 4 cards with 2 successes. And we will put Restless Axe back on top of her deck. So the 2 successes gives us 6 hits. Remove the Scout and gain an inspiration. And we will have him move 1, 2 and see what this search token's about on his next turn. So that will end our action phase. Into the shadow phase. Darkness. Each hero in darkness suffers 2 fear with agility negating. The whole board is in darkness. So Aragorn, with spirit negating, he will not negate anything. We will spin an inspiration and he will take 1 fear. Gloom. Flip this face down. And then Gimli with a spirit of 4. 1 success. And since he's testing, his ready defense will add another success. So he will negate those fear. Shadow deepens, threat increases by 5. To the rally phase. Reset our decks and Scout 2. We are now nearby each other, so both our characters will look at 3 cards. Aragorn. Let's see, we will prep Strider and put both of these on the bottom of our deck. And for Gimli, who will get to look at 3 this time. He's burdened, has a Restless Axe and Ancient Wisdom. We'll prep the Restless Axe, put the other 2 on the bottom of our deck. And then for start of turn, we will have Aragorn interact with this Wraith. Knight's fingers tighten around the hilt of a sword. And we will, let's see, ask to join the Knight's order. Knight studies you with the same regard with which you gather. He would a sickly mule. It would be a boon to have a new order dedicated to standing against the High King's lunacy, he concedes. But what could you bring to such an order? A strong arm. The knight nods several times. Show me your technique, he says, pointing to one of the nearby statues. He will test might, needing 2. That's not going to do it. So with 1 success, we will fail that test. The knight shakes his head, unimpressed with your performance. You're not without skill, but I will not have you in a knightly order yet. For some reason, you feel a chill run through you. Suffer 1 fear. Dark Whispers. Keep this card face up. At the end of your turn, suffer a fear. When you test wisdom or wit, add a success. All right, Aragorn. Well, at first you don't succeed. Try again. We will probably fail, but we'll try again. This time maybe with a sharp mind. Testing wit. So we need 3 successes, and we're only getting 3 cards. Failed big time. Oh well, how bad could that be, right? We will fail that test. Knight shakes his head, unimpressed. Once again, without skill, we'll suffer another fear. It's not going well. Gloom, flip face down. So it's 3 fear for him now. It's a good point for him to end his turn. Gimli, on the other hand, will interact with a search token. Not the statue. We want the search token in the back. Skeletal remains are arrayed around the ash of a fire that went out long ago. The remains have surely been here for many years, but not nearly as long as Numinous has been abandoned. It must belong to travelers like yourself, coming to the city for fortune or glory. Did not meet a good end. Test spirit. Looking at 4 cards. 1 success. We'll spin an inspiration to make that 2. Swallowing your anxiousness about the macabre scene, you rummage through the remains of the traveler's packs. You find a few small things still intact enough to be useful to you. Either place 1 additional token on an equipped non-food or scout 1. I believe we will add another token to our boots. There may yet be useful items hidden among the remains. Continue. Alright, we will search harder. The remains of the erstwhile travelers still suggest there may be something worth finding. We will test our spirit once again. 4 cards. We have 2 successes. We'll spin an inspiration for a 3rd. Either place an additional token on a non-food or scout 1. Nope. We will scout 1. Fury. And put that on the bottom of our deck. Still might be something there, but that will end our turn. Into the shadow phase. Tyr suffers 2 fear with spirit negating. Aragorn looking at 2 cards. No inspiration, so he will take 2 fear. Each nearby hero flips a damage face up, then flip this card face down. And Gimli is nearby, so he will discard an inspiration that he doesn't have and flip this back face down. His fever came back. And for the second fear, Gloom, flip this card face down. So that is 5 fear for him. Fortunately, he has Garb, giving him an additional fear limit. I'm sorry, I almost forgot about Gimli here. So 4 cards, 1 success. So he will be, with his ready defense, he will negate both of those. And threat increases by 5. The rattle of armored footfalls echoes in the dark. Between each step comes the creak and a snap of old dry bone, forced into motion by unnatural means. A wight steps to the edge of the firelight, wearing a helm that is adorned with a prince's crown. A broken arrow protrudes from the helm. The living are not welcome in my city, the Scion says. Death reigns there now, and the dead are my subjects. There's nothing for you. So we can ask, who are you? Or Arnor faces a dangerous enemy. We already kind of know who he is. What enemy? The wight's gaze bores into you, the cold glow of his eyes piercing. Ah, there's only one thing in Numinous the living would desire any longer. Now Tilar. It is called the Mirror of Spirits, and it, like everything that belonged to the kings of Arnor, belongs to me. The wight closes a skeletal fist against the rusted breastplate of his armor. I was of the royal bloodline of Arnor, but denied the throne and life because I rejected the despised gift of men. His bones rattle as he spreads his arms wide, but being denied that gift has made me the king of Arnor for far longer than any other. So what gift can mortality truly be? Now it is time to eject the living from my domain. The king hefts his sword, and after my blade has tasted blood, we shall overcome the city gate as well. The race the Mordor has stirred to the king's cause close in around him, forming a formidable shroud of sorcerer's defense. Spawn 1 white is indicated. This is a Scion. He has no intention of letting you into Numinous, the domain he has claimed for himself. The orator is no fighter, but with allies brought to his king's side, he has served his purpose, and he fades into the night. Discard the person token. As this would-be king prepares for battle, the knight slides into another corpse. He hefts a rusted sword, this one solid metal, and points it in your direction. Spawn a white as indicated, then discard this person token. The Scion emerges from the fog. The scout at the edge of the camp gazes sadly at his decayed form, then drifts into the darkness and vanishes. Discard this person token. The remaining Wraith Guards close ranks to protect the gate from the Scion's allies. Perhaps they could be convinced to help you in battle. The Scion has arrived, and he seems intent upon entering Numinous in defiance of an ancient decree. Sees no place for the living in this realm, as the race following him flood toward the gates of Numinous. You have little choice but to defend yourself. Defeat the Scion. Rally phase. Each hero resets their deck and scouts 2. Alright, so they are nearby each other. Both will look at 3 cards. Can only hope Aragorn gets something that will help heal him of his fear. And we have a Wyndham on grass. Wit and help is agility. So we will put the wind on top of the deck, prep the agility, and put this on the bottom. For Gimli, looking at 3 cards, is Fury, Ancient Wisdom, and Wit. I think I'll just put all 3 of those on the bottom of our deck. And let's take a look at these. The Scion. He has Royal Armor, Terrifying, and Shrouded, 13 health. Each enemy gains extra sorcery when this group attacks. Its fear is increased. Terrifying, so he's scary. And the regular white is just armored and a veteran. We will start with Gimli moving over and attacking the white, looking at 4 cards, getting 2 successes. We'll put Restless Axe back on top of her deck. So 2 successes, we will get 6 hits. Applying that, you will get hit back. Monster's long arms wrap around you, bony fingers scrabbling for purchase on your flesh. Might will negate. So you've got 2 damage and 4 fear. Suffer 1 additional face down fear from this attack. So looking at 4 cards with 1 success, and because of his ready defense, that will be 2 successes. He will guard 3, which means he will end up taking, we'll take 1 of each, 1 damage and 1 fear. So Awareness, flip this card face down. And the Paranoia. If there's a nearby hero, discard 1 prep card, then flip this card face down. So Aragorn will discard his agility card. And that will take care of that for Gimli. And then for Aragorn, he will make an attack on the same guy that's already been hit here. So 3 cards, only 1 success, which will be 3 hits. Applying 3 hits, it really didn't do anything. He will get hit back. Pulls a curved dagger from beneath its ragged black robes and thrusts it at you. Spirit negating. Her spirit is 2. So we have 1 success, which we will use to get rid of, negate 1 of the fear. So we'll take the 2 damage first. Weak Wariness, flip this face down. Another Weariness, flip this face down. And Fear. Looming Shadows. If you're in a space with darkness, suffer fear, then flip this card face down. We are in a space with darkness. Now we have Greed. Deplete another hero's artifact or trinket. So Gimli will lose 1 of his uses, and flip this face down. So we will confirm that. Aragorn has met his fear threshold. So we'll do a last stand. With fear. There's much to fear, but there's also hope. Testing wisdom. So we have 2 successes, so we pass that test. Discard all face down fear, gain an inspiration, and continue the adventure. So now he is down to 2 damage and 1 fear. And since he just finished an attack, after you attack, you may discard the skill to gain an inspiration, and for a nearby hero to also attack. So Gimli will get another attack on this guy. Looking at 4 cards. Yeah, but only getting 1 success. Don't think that's going to do anything. We'll try 2 hits and a sunder. Yep, these poor guys need some inspiration. He will get hit back. Skin prickles with cold as a creature darts towards you, blade flashing in the lights of its eyes. Spirit negates. After this attack, discard an inspiration. Well, joke's on them, we don't have it. So we have 4 cards. 1 success. So we will, let's see here, negate 1 of the damage. Actually, with a ready defense, we would have had 2 successes. So we'll negate 1 of each. And then we will go ahead and guard 2 so we don't take the others. So that was Aragorn's first attack. For his second attack, he might as well see what happens. So no successes there, but he does have 2 inspiration, so that'll give us 2 successes, which will mean 5 hits. And he will go ahead and use Strider for another 3, so that will be 8 hits. Applying that. Enemy will hit back. Creature grips a blackened sword in 1 sinewy hand, with might negating. 3 cards. 0 successes. Nothing to help. So he will take 1 damage and 1 fear. Weariness, flip this card down. And since Gimli did guard last turn, he does gain an inspiration because of Aragorn's banner. Sorry about missing that. And then for the fear, Hysteria. You and each nearby hero suffer a damage, then discard this card. For Aragorn, he's got a laceration. Flip 1 damage face up, then flip this card face down. So we'll look at this one and flip it back face down. And for Gimli, a little bit of weariness. We'll confirm there. And that will end our turn. To the shadow phase. Big guy is going to move 1 and attack Aragorn. Skin prickles with cold as creature darts towards you, blade flashing in the light of its eyes, with spirit negating. So that's 2 possible damage and 4 fear, and after this attack, discard an inspiration that he doesn't have. So his whole deck is in his discard pile, so we will shuffle. Looking at 2 cards with 1 success. With that 1 success, let's see. We will prevent one of the fear from coming through, so he will take 2 damage. First one, Cursed Injury. Keep this card face up. If you would discard a face up wound or damage, flip it face down instead. That's not good. And the second one, flip this card face down. So that's 6 total damage for him, but we still have 3 fear to look through. Gloom, flip it face down. Troubled, keep this card face up. After you or a nearby hero suffers 1 or more fear from darkness, that hero suffers an additional fear. And Gloom, flip this card face down. We will confirm that. Go into a last stand for Aragorn again. This time it's going to be for damage. Even now, you retain a last vestige of energy. Testing agility, we need 2 successes. We got 0 successes. We failed. You have fallen. Remove your figure from the map. At the start of the next shadow phase, you will fail this adventure. Bad news, Gimli. So darkness step. Each hero in darkness suffers 2 fear. So Gimli will shuffle his deck. Looking at 4 cards, getting 1 success, and spin an inspiration. Take no damage or fear. Threat increases by 5. It's the least of her worries. And the rally phase. He will reset his deck and scout 2. Alright, we have a Restless Axe. We'll prep that and put this on the top of our deck. And since we need to kill the Scion, we will use the Restless Axe to get a free attack with an additional 2 hits. Looking at 4 cards, we have 2 successes. We will put Ready Defense back on top of the deck. So the 2 successes will get us 6 hits, and because of the Restless Axe, that'll take it to 8. And then we'll go ahead and spin this one for another 2 hits. So 10 hits coming through. Oops. Add 1 more. Don't want to cheat us. And he will strike back. The white opens its jaws, but the sound it makes is so far from that of a man you can feel tears wet on your cheeks. Spirit negates. So we have 2 successes. So we will take 3 fear and 1 damage. Oh, we've been poisoned. Gain a weakness and shuffle it into your deck, then discard this card. Here's a weakness. Let's shuffle that in our deck. And then the 3 fear. Gloom, flip it face down. Some more gloom. Feels appropriate. And then hopelessness. Discard 2 prep cards or suffer 2 face down fear. Then discard this card. Well, we don't have 2 cards to prep, so we'll just take 2 face down fear. Which will take him past his fear limit. So we'll confirm here. Go to a last stand with Gimli. For fear. Testing wisdom, which is 2, just needing 1 success. A little arrogant and undying might. So we failed that. And he has fallen. Remove the figure on the map. We have no figures on the board. The wailing when grasping with a pale, dead limbs overwhelms you. When you remember yourself again, you are grasping for breath at the edge of the forest. Numinous lies behind you. You are not welcome there. True story. You fight bravely, but the scion's dead flesh feels no pain and fears no injury. One by one, you feel his blade. Run, living ones, run. LOTR, the mirror of spirits, belongs to the scion in Numinous, and nothing living shall command the dead. Fall back into the woods. You will have to take a wide path and perhaps enter Numinous over Lake Evendom. But you fear this delay will let Adarin get into the city first. The heroes lose. You have failed to prevail over the scion and will have to take a longer route into Numinous. Lore increases by 1. Each hero gains 3 experience. Well, a couple of whites seem to be a bit too much, but that's how it goes sometimes. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please click on the like button and also be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.